But patience stands firm. Patience holds on. Patience keeps believing.
I'll go straight.
Where there are delays and disappointments, patience keeps worshiping with other believers. Patience keeps praying daily. Patience keeps participating. Patience keeps striving to do the right things. Patience keeps believing that God's promise is true. That in all things God works for the good of those who love Him and are called according to His purpose. Persistent faith is an evidence of patience. Isaiah chapter 40 verse 31. Isaiah chapter 40 verse 31 from the King James Version says this. But they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up on the wings as eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. And the key words in that verse is wait upon the Lord. That's patience. To wait upon the Lord. Second evidence that we are developing patience is this. You have a sympathetic spirit. You have a sympathetic spirit. In verse 9 of James 5, James says, don't grumble against each other. You know, when pressure mounts, we usually look for someone to blame, don't we? When we arrive at a meeting late, we blame the traffic, when in reality, we just didn't leave home in time to get to the meeting on time. But we blame the traffic. When we get behind in our finances, start to accuse our spouse. You ever done that? Oh, I did that in our early years of marriage, and I walked in one day and I very accusatorily looked at Joan and said, what are you doing with the grocery money? He said, walk over here. There's a mirror. She said, turn sideways. Some of you may want to remember that. See, James wants us to quit grumbling against each other and to quit blaming other people. Because listen, if you ever know that you need to be supportive, it's in a time of adversity that people need us. We need to be supportive of people. Nothing dampens enthusiasm like petty grumbling and constant complaining. And James tells us earlier on, do everything without grumbling.
Well, going back in.
So we need to keep that in mind. Galatians chapter 5, verse 15. This is just a very interesting statement to me. Galatians 5:15. Paul writes this. It says, if you keep on biting and devouring each other, watch out or you will be destroyed by each other. Paul is saying that faith communities can be consumed by the contentious spirit. And when we have that contentious spirit, we lose our effectiveness for the community who needs Jesus. We need to remember that. So we need that persistent faith. We see that sympathetic spirit. The next is a controlled tongue. A controlled tongue. That's evidence that we're developing patience. James simply says, do not swear. He's referring here to the language that makes profane the name of God. He continues by restating what Jesus said in the most famous sermon of all time, the Sermon on the Mount. When Jesus said this, he said, let your yes be yes and your no be no. James repeated that. But apparently, from the time of the first century church, the immediate reaction when we lose our patience is to swear. To make a profane statement using the name of God. Someone said this. I love this quote. Swearing is the foolish attempt of a feeble mind to express itself forcibly. Let me say that again. Swearing is the foolish attempt of a feeble mind to express itself forcibly. That's a tremendous way to look at it, if you think about it. Have you ever really thought about how ineffective swearing really is? I mean, it's crazy. If a person steals, at least temporarily they get the enjoyment of what they stole, right? If a person commits adultery, they might, for a brief moment, satisfy the lust that they have. If a person commits murder, they might get a sense of monetary revenge. But what in the world does a person who swears? Nothing. Nothing. It brings nothing but the judgment of God. It's like a fish biting on a hook that has no bait. That's what it is. Listen, James has repeatedly in this letter said that controlling our tongue is primary evidence of a faith under construction. And he underscores it once again in this section that we're in. So the tongue is a major issue according to James. We need to control it. Now, as we kind of wrap up this section, we wrap up our series, I want to offer just a few practical suggestions to help us develop our patience in a God-honoring way. I want us to develop our patience in a God-honoring way. Here's the first. Two words. Expect delays. Expect delays. Hello. Why did bring mind? Expect delays. Don't say it with me. Expect delays. I want us to understand that is the first and foremost issue that we need to understand when it comes to being patient. Expect things to be in the way. Oh, here's a wonderful truth. The shortest distance between 2 points is always under construction. The straightest distance between 2 points is always under construction, right? Especially when you're trying to get anywhere around Indianapolis right now. It's crazy. I don't care where you're trying to go. I don't care what road you want to take. It's going to be under construction. Delays, listen to me, delays are inevitable. Expect them. So here's the key. Don't get rattled. Get settled. Don't get rattled. Get settled. And trust God in spite of those delays. Expect those delays. Number 2, second suggestion, be creative in your waiting time. Be creative in your waiting time. Say that with me. That's okay. The secret of patience is doing something else in the meantime. I heard many years ago that people who live in the metro area like Indy, if you travel 12,000 miles a year as you commute back and forth to work, then in about 3 years time span, if you take tapes and CDs or whatever in your car, you would have an equivalent to an associate's degree as you travel on the road, doing something different in the meantime. So when you're stuck in traffic, you don't think of it as being stuck in traffic. You look at it as earning an associate's degree in patience. We can do that. I used to travel for the children's home, and I was always trying to keep up with things that were changing in the stock market, stuff like that. I always had tapes in, playing, and I told people I went to the University of Carr. Because what a better place to learn. But there's always creative things to do during your wait times that will help develop patience. Number 3, keep the big picture in mind. Say that with me. You know, to me, this is probably the most vital. Probably most vital. Friends, listen closely. We can experience a lot of losses during this journey that we go through this faith construction zones of life. But I believe that we can endure any and everything that we face if we understand this. The bridegroom will always love and never forsake his bride. I want you to hear that again. The bridegroom will always love and never forsake his bride. Even when the bride is forgetful, even when the bride is impatient, he will never stop loving and he will never forsake his bride. Jesus made that promise. He will never leave us, never forsake us. Keep the big picture in mind. Number 4, slow down and be with God. Slow down and be with God. Say that one. Okay, now shout that one. That would solve a lot of issues in our life. Because the more that we slow down and the more that we're with God, the more the patience is going to develop naturally because of the relationship that we have with Him. I honestly think that for most of us, the danger that we're going to face in life is not that we're going to be put in a position to denounce or renounce our faith. But the greater danger is we become so distracted and so rushed and so preoccupied that we settle for this mediocre version of authentic faith. That's just where it is. So let me ask you a question. Why do we need to develop? Why do we need to develop patience? Here's the bottom line. I believe is why we need to develop patience. It's not just to improve our quality of life. It's not just to enrich our relationships. We need to become patient people because we serve a patient God. That's why we need to become patient. Remember the definition? You cannot move faster than the one you're following.